Welcome to the Detroit Lions schedule release show presented by Ticketmaster. Thanks for waiting patiently all day long. I'm Dannie Rogers. Amid some rumors swirling this past offseason, the Detroit Lions will not be heading overseas to play a regular season game against the Chiefs. Instead, Detroit will be heading to Arrowhead Stadium Week 1 for the first time in 20 years to take on the reigning Super Bowl champs. Here's a reminder of who and where Detroit will play this upcoming season. Lions will host NFC South opponents in Atlanta and Carolina, and AFC West teams Denver and Las Vegas. Pete Carroll and his Seattle Seahawks will make the trip to Detroit, along with the usual suspects in the NFC North Division. On the road, Detroit will head to warmer temps to take on NFC South opponents Tampa Bay and New Orleans. From the AFC West, Lions will head out to LA to face the Chargers, as well as taking a business trip to play, like we mentioned, against Patrick Mahomes and those Chiefs. Detroit will also go on the road for the second consecutive year to Dallas, and they'll take on the league's highest paid quarterback for now, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. We're counting down the minutes until the Detroit Lions official schedule release video. Here to talk all the numbers for this upcoming season is NFL Network analytics expert and Michigander Cynthia Frelund. Cynthia, Week 1, Detroit Lions will be taking on Patrick Mahomes and those Kansas City Chiefs. They lead off this entire NFL schedule. What is your first reaction to that Week 1 matchup for Detroit?
I mean, let's be honest, it is a very big sign of respect. If you think about it, last season, it was the Super Bowl. It's always the Super Bowl champs, right? But then they played the Buffalo Bills, who were the proverbial favorites to win the Super Bowl at that point in the season. So it means that the Lions, hello, we've arrived. That is a very big sign of respect. It's a lot of fun. Do I wish it weren't Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely, but nobody wants to play Patrick Mahomes. And you would have had to do it any point in the season. Might as well get it out there, get it over with. And you have the sneak attack situation. You have all summer long to think about exactly what you're going to do for that one sneaky game. So I think it's a lot of respect. And I never want to play Patrick Mahomes because we will always respect him as well. But if you got to do it, might as well do it in front of everyone.
I agree. I mean, we already know the win probability of this Detroit Lions schedule. The times don't necessarily affect it. So what is the win percentage you have right now for the Lions?
Let me be clear. I've been doing this now for a long time, and this is the first time that I have, ahead of the seasons, have had the Lions winning the division and forecast. Now, the win numbers, the win share number, it always is going to look worse because remember, every game, while we like to think like in your mind, you can close your eyes and be like, oh, we're going to kill them. They're closer to 50-50. There's great parity in the NFL. That's why this is the very best sport because anyone could win at any time. So the numbers, it's not like I'm saying they're going to go 15-2 or something crazy like that, but you got to look at the relative ranking. And right now, Honolulu Blue sits atop the NFC North. I'm losing my mind. It's amazing.
Okay, can you break down how many wins do you think Lions will have overall for the season? Did you break that down?
Yeah, well, so you kind of do them into it's kind of like stock market numbers, right? So it's the chance of, so right now the number looks like 10, but it's probably more like 11 because it's fractional numbers. Remember, each game, it's not a 50-50 situation for each game, but it is like, 56-44 or like 60-40 in certain cases, right? So the number doesn't look as high, but it'll probably, to me, 11 sounds about right because you have to remember there are some really sneaky opponents like, the Kansas City Chiefs that are a hard matchup. That game is not necessarily one where the Lions will be favored, but again, they could win those and shift that win total up. But remember, each game, it's like add 0.56 to 0.56 to get that number. So it's closer to 10 when it comes out in my article on NFL.com. It looks like 10. But remember, those numbers could easily sneak up higher.
I'm going with your 11, just for the record. Detroit Lions, they recently shook things up in the draft, taking running back Jahmyr Gibbs there in the first round, along with linebacker Jack Campbell. How much did those draft picks bump up the Detroit Lions' chances of getting more wins on the board this year?
Well, I'm looking at, you always have to remember with win share, we have to talk about the fact that starting quarterbacks always add the most. So last season, there was only one quarterback taken and the Lions looked amazing because there was only that one guy taken, Kenny Pickett. But ultimately this year we have 2 in the first 2 picks, 3 in the first 4 picks. So it's just going to look a little bit different. But of the teams that didn't select a quarterback that is theoretically going to start week 1, the Lions had the second highest wins added. Of my top 51 players, so I rank all of the players to like 400. It's kind of a ridiculous exercise. They had 5 in the top 51. So it's a really nice haul for the Lions overall.
I know you said you have Detroit Lions winning the NFC North. This is the first time in a very long time a man named Aaron Rodgers will not be starting for the Green Bay Packers.
Get him out of there.
Hey, look, it looks different in the NFC North. Detroit picked up 5 of 6 wins against their division opponents last season. Will they go 6 for 6 this season?
You know, it's hard to say exactly how, because a lot of teams like the Vikings, they made some moves. They have some questions in their, like everybody has some questions still. But and Aaron Rodgers last year wasn't the Aaron Rodgers that we had seen the 2 years prior when he won back-to-back MVPs. But the reality is everyone still has, especially in the division, those games are just always harder because you know each other so well, you play each other more often, and they're not like, it's just never like a foregone conclusion, right? But I do think that in the division, obviously I have to have them winning. Those numbers went from like maybe being slightly closer to 50-50 to like a little higher in the Lions' favor. And by the way, the Packers numbers did get impacted the most because Aaron Rodgers, again, we have to respect him, even though we are very glad that he is now a Jet.
Yeah, we've been watching this Detroit Lions team for a long time, and yeah, we won't have to talk about Aaron Rodgers here in the NFC North for the foreseeable future. All right, Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us here. Detroit Lions fans, are you ready for the reveal of the 2023 schedule? Our One Pride Productions had to exhaust the Xbox here in Allen Park to bring you this masterpiece. Enjoy.
My bad, Brad. OBS was being mad sus.
All good, Dan, but the NFL just released the 2023 schedule. Pick up the sticks and let's show these scrubs what's what.
Bald werden wir die Letzten sein, die stehen.
What the hell does that mean? You know we aren't playing in Germany, right?
Ich weiß, aber ich hatte wirklich gehofft, dass wir es wären.
When did you learn German anyway?
I didn't. We're AI-generated voices, Brad. Some social media intern is typing everything that comes out of our mouths.
Wait, you mean they can literally make me say whatever they want? D's nuts. You thinking what I'm thinking?
Run it. Wait. I said don't run it. My damn Bluetooth is acting up again.
Too late. Fox grazed Sputnik with that one.
We take those. Go see Lions.
And just like that.
Hell yeah, man. Throw one more on the board.
I'm sorry to say it, but you're looking Paleolithic here, Danspacito.
I'm choosing to ignore that comment and continue our friendship.
How about we continue this beatdown while we're at it?
I'll allow it.
Hey guys,
What's good, JG?
What's going on, man?
come on, Curb. You're going to make another QB leave the division.
You mean leave the conference?
You mean retreat from the conference?
That's dark.
Touche, Jared, touche.
What that bear doing?
The Bear?
Panther.
That's Bryce Young, bro.
How you say that?
Bryce Young.
You call him that?
That's his name. Chad is telling me to check the sliders.
Someone say sliders? I could go for a couple of them right now.
Hold on, let me put this together real quick.
Oh no. Brad is him.
Ben Johnson.
Him the toolman Taylor.
Him and in the money, come and find me. Nemo.
All right, Brad. Time to take the field goal record back. 69 yards.
Nice.
Outdoors, 17-mile-an-hour tailwind.
Money Badger should have the leg, no problem.
Come on. Come on.
Doinked it off the crossbar, Cam. That's good.
We hooping now. I called it.
Rory. Hello, Rory? Rory. I think his headset is still broken.
Come on, Rory. Not again. Get a new headset before you join the Discord next time, man.
Mute Spitta, one headset. Now that's the...
Wrong number.
Hey, hold it down for a minute, Danimals Yogurt. Mom just came in and said the pizza rolls are done. BRB.
That's outstanding. You earned it, man. I need to walk my pet goldfish anyway. Damn it. My controller died. Looks like I'm gonna need a...
Dan, don't say it. Please don't say it. I'm begging you.
charger.
Yo, coach, let me get a rep at cornerback real quick.
Let's do it, man.
Oh, you put me on this guy? Too easy.
No cap. Run this route for him.
Clamps.
Congratulations, you just got Amon-Ra St. Clown.
Honestly diabolical. Sit down, big little brother. Respectfully.
Remember when we ran the hook and ladder against the pack on Sunday Night Football?
Indubitably.
When we run it to the left, it's called eels and escalators.
BJ better be jotting this down.
FTP.
Wow.
Oh, man. We appreciate you, 20.
Barry is a whole W. Don't forget to follow the gifters, chat.
Yeah, everyone go follow the gifters and the mods. That's 5 on the day for number 5.
Monty's a bowling ball.
More like a bulldog.
A French bulldog.
Where did he come from anyway?
Watch this one. User, take that, plebes.
Take it to the house, man.
Speaking of houses, did you hear how many bathrooms Russ has inside his?
That's not what he wanted to cook.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the car, so come on.
Let's ride.
I am legend, and I will Smith.
Now that's how you let the D build, Brad.
You like that?
You like that?
You like that?
You like that?
You like
You
that?
like that? That was a heads-up play. What do you think Jack Campbell's grit rating is?
Grit rating, is that even a thing?
I know a way to find out. Wow, grit stats are nowhere in sight. Get it together, Madden.
Oh my gosh, we witty wooey need to know how gwitty we are.
You know how we supposedly share 98.8% of our DNA with chimpanzees?
I guess.
This man and I share less than 50%.
Whatever you say, Danny, given Sunday. Let's just ice this game.
Right, let me get zesty with this one.
In motion is Sewell. Goff to throw. Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it! Oh, yes! The big man! That is beautiful!
That's some sussy baka activity.
Yeah, but his Riz is busting like Jerome Bettis.
Here we go. The schedule is officially released. I'm joined by Tim Twentyman, senior writer for DetroitLions.com, to recap that exquisite Madden video that One Pride Productions put together, which was phenomenal.
They do such a good job.
Phenomenal.
With that.
They're one of the best in the league.
One of the best, by far.
It shows it. All right, to recap, Detroit will open the season, the entire NFL season, Thursday night against Kansas City. They'll have 5 primetime games, 2 of those coming against NFC North foe Green Bay. Once in week 4, another in Thanksgiving. We're giving the people what they want.
Yes.
And there's a chance Detroit will bump up from 5 primetime games to 7. This season is going to be fun.
They're hot.
What game? I mean, I think I already know it. What game sticks out to you first?
I mean, number 1, week 1. I mean, to start your season on the road in Kansas City, a place they haven't played since 2003. Remember the last time they were on the road, it was against London. And I think it's a measuring stick game for the Lions. You know, all this talk about, winning the NFC North, being the favorites for the NFC North, being one of those hot teams in the NFC. Let's see where you stand week 1. You get the defending NFL champions. You get Patrick Mahomes in that offense. How improved is your defense? I think you get a measuring stick game week 1. And if I'm a head coach Dan Campbell, I love that. I get to know where my football team stands, how good they really are, where their confidence level is at week 1. I love it.
Ooh, and then speaking of NFC North, the last 5 out of 8 games will be against opponents. Is that good or bad? How do you like it?
I like it. You mentioned the week 4 game, Green Bay, Thursday night, the Prime Video game, and then you don't have another division game until week 11, mid-November, home against Chicago. Mm-hmm. So, I think we saw last year you got off to the rough start, but they were really playing their best brand of football over the last 10 games of the season. So you hope that's a repeat. Obviously not the tough beginning. You hope they start a little bit better than that. But now you're hitting your stride. You're playing some of your best football, mid-season on to the end of the year. That's when teams want to be playing their best football. So what better than to play 5 division opponents during that stretch to end the season? You'll get a chance to really decide your own fate in the NFC North and the NFC title those last 8 weeks of the season, and hopefully the Lions are playing really good football at that point.
Detroit Lions will welcome the number 1 overall pick from this past draft, Bryce Young, and those Carolina Panthers to Ford Field. You also have some familiar faces on staff with Deuce Staley, former running backs coach, Todd Wash, former D-line coach, and former wide receiver DJ Chark. So it's going to look a little familiar with those Panthers. What do you anticipate for that matchup?
Well, I think it's a little revenge game for Detroit.
I think so, too.
I mean, they went on the road week 16 16 last week, and they laid an egg, let's be honest. I mean, they did. I mean, the Panthers ran up and down the field. Lions really had a chance to cement their playoff status and fell short. And so I think you look at that game and you're like, okay, that's not who we were last week. Let's show Carolina who we are at home. Ruckus crowd. It's going to be their third game at home. They're going to have a little bit of time to kind of rest because the Thursday game before, so you get that kind of mini little bye there, and so you run into that game and hopefully you show Carolina a little bit better football game.
Right now, Detroit has 3 Thursday night football games. How does that affect a team when they're prepping through the season?
You know, the short weeks are tough. You know, this is obviously a football team that's used to it because they play on Thanksgiving every year. And when you look at that one, I think when you're a player or a coach and you're on a short week, I think one of the things that can maybe benefit you is playing a familiar foe. And so when you talk about the Thanksgiving week, you've got Chicago that Sunday, and then you've got Green Bay on Thursday. So 2 very familiar opponents. Not as much research has to go into that. So, you know, I think you like that part of it. The week 1, it's really not going to test you at all. You get the benefit of it after because it's your first game of the year. And then one other time you've got to deal with it with Green Bay, but you got Carolina too. Players like those little mini buys. It's tough leading in. Those Thursdays, you know, the body isn't quite right by Thursday if you play on the Sunday before, but you get a chance afterward to have that kind of mini buy. And you see a lot of times that following game after those Thursday games, teams are rested. They've had extra time prepare. They usually play a little bit better football.
Leading into the bye week, Detroit Lions will host a Monday Night Football game for the first time since 2018. That was back against the Jets. This year, it'll be against Jimmy G and the Las Vegas Raiders. What's your thoughts on that matchup?
Excited for the fans at Ford Field. You know, I was at that game in 2011 against Chicago when it had been a little while since the Lions had hosted one, and it's one of the few times I left an event with my ears still ringing. And if this team gets off to a good start, you're going to be leading into your bye. So, you know, you have some time to rest and recover. Afterward, that Ford Field environment, I expect it to be so great this whole season. I mean, they're going to sell out all year if this football team performs the way they're expected to perform. And for those fans to get kind of a mid-season Week 8, not familiar opponent on Monday night. A lot of fans in Detroit probably haven't seen the Raiders a ton, so I expect that to be a hot ticket in town. So I'm excited for it. I like those, you know, interconference matchups on prime time. You don't really know a lot about the opponent, so I love it. Hopefully it's a little better than the Jets were. I got off to a great start in 2018. Didn't end so well, so let's hope the Lions roll the Raiders at home and kind of keep this thing rolling.
I agree. All right, we cannot leave off the preseason schedule. So we know that Detroit will host the Giants, the Jags, and then they'll go on the road at Carolina. So they'll actually see the Panthers twice this season. What are your thoughts when you first look at that preseason schedule?
Well, the Giants at home, they're going to do the joint practices with them, so that's good. So you start the season at home, and really teams get more out of the joint practices than they do the preseason games.
Nothing fires up Coach Campbell more than joint practices.
He loves joint practices.
Loves that.
He gets them at home this week, so we don't have to travel anywhere. Get to welcome in, Jones and the Jets and all those guys. Week 1, home against Jacksonville. Again, a team that's expected to be really good in the AFC, kind of an early measuring stick. And in that Week 2 game, I would expect a lot of the starters to play. That's kind of your ramp up for the regular season. So, you know, that'll be a fun matchup between Trevor Lawrence and that offense. See how much improved this Detroit defense is. Some of the young guys will play a lot. And then you're at prime time, like you mentioned, at Carolina. So your Week 3, those are for the guys, you know, trying to make the roster, your last few decisions. The second half of that game on prime time, it's going to be important for a lot of young guys, kind of a lot of those back of the roster guys to make this team, and they get to do it on prime time. Good for some of those guys that maybe don't get an opportunity to make the roster. Maybe some team on an 8 o'clock prime time Week 3 of the preseason will see something they like and get an opportunity, so good for those guys.
7 of these games include playoff teams from the prior season, but on the flip side, you're never playing more than 2 games on the road, never more than 2 games at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's looking like a good schedule favorable to the Detroit Lions as of right now. And Cynthia earlier said she had 11 wins for these Detroit Lions.
11 wins. I don't do predictions. I got
to see him on the field.
I got to see him on the field
Yes.
first. But you know, you just look at it. 2 games on the road, 2 at home of your first 4. The last 4, 2 at home, 2 on the road. Like you mentioned, you never have more than 2 consecutive games on the road, and that only happens 3 times during the year. You have the bye week right in the middle at week 9.
My birthday weekend? Like,
Look at you. I think it's mine too.
Oh, you're right.
On the
I'm
9th,
so sorry.
right?
I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm the 8th and
week
he's the
together.
9th.
Here we go.
We
I
gotta,
like it.
We gotta take each other
Days
out,
after,
Tim.
we should.
Yeah.
We should do something that weekend. But yeah, no, I love the overall. There was nothing about the schedule where I looked at it and was like, oh, 3 or first 4 on the road, or some of those things, or a week 5 bye that the Lions have had before. It's just, there's nothing that jumps out that's terrible. You love the week 9 bye. You love finishing the year at home against a division opponent who won it last year, who could be in the thick of it again, and that could decide something. You start with a showcase game. You're on prime time 5 times. I love the schedule overall. I think the Lions, really benefited from the NFL in this schedule. There's nothing that jumps out to me that I hate.
Thanks to Tim for joining us. Up next on the Detroit Lions docket, the rookies are reporting here to Allen Park. An exciting time for these players with more coverage to come. Thanks for watching the Detroit Lions schedule release show presented by Ticketmaster.